Greetings, gamers. It's Adam with Errata Non Grata on this Super Bowl Sunday Eve, I guess. I don't really follow sports. I've never really cared about the Super Bowl, and so I did try to play Super Football on the Atari 2600 as found on the um, Atari 50th Anniversary Collection. Not very good at it. In fact, it's more likely to pass the ball to the other team, I guess, because for some reason it seemed fairly difficult to get it to your own guy. But yeah, since that's not very good, instead I'm going to play some iRobot. Now, iRobot, which has nothing to do with football whatsoever, is a game that was released by Atari in 1984, and in fact, this counts as the last game that Atari released as a whole company. It was released in June of 1984, and the purchase of Atari with the Trammels to the Trammels, where it split the company in two, happened on June 1st. But I guess since the game was already in production in May, that's where the IP stuck with the original Atari Corporation. But the problem is that iRobot was such an advanced game that there was never any home ports for it. I'm kind of surprised that they never attempted to do a home port for it on the Atari ST, since the ST could handle some 3D graphics. But that's the most significant thing about iRobot, is that it is the first filled 3D polygon game to be released. And of course, arcades at the time, that's where you could get most of your power. They were more powerful than most computers that were out there, home computers that were out there. Of course, it's since flipped, but I mean, it's a fun game. It's kind of sort of like Pac-Man, but you're mixed with a shoot 'em up, as all you're doing is covering ground. And as far as the red ground goes, that would, I guess, be kind of like your dots. You're not being chased by anything, but every level the maps change, and you can't jump when the big brother eye is all the way open. When it turns red, it will shoot you if that's the case. And so you got to be careful about your timing. Listen as well, since there'll be this buzzing sound when the eye starts to open. And you also have to watch out for birds, which if you jump the wrong time, you don't have enough time to shoot them when you're jumping. And it has these bonus levels in between where you have to shoot these tetras, but you still have to be careful. If you run into things, then it'll take away one of your lives. But it's actually a fun game. It's fairly rare because, again, it was released at a time when Atari was in trouble, and 1984 was a really bad year for the video game industry. In fact, it was worse than 1983 was, and so due to that, there just weren't a ton of them out there. I've seen one before at California Extreme. That's the only time I've ever played one in person. Used a Hall Effect joystick, which uses magnets, and it's an analog stick. So long before that sort of thing was common in game consoles as well. And so just overall, it was way ahead of its time. And honestly, they should have had this as a launch title for the Atari Jaguar and do like an iRobot 2000, where I'm sure the Jaguar could have handled it just fine and maybe could have thrown in some extras. But this is iRobot for your Saturday morning game romp. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.